My husband and I have been married for 5 years. I gave birth to our first child in September, a girl. My husband was present for most of my labor, but things went very pear-shaped, and I had to have an emergency C-section. The doctors told him to leave the room and wait outside. In short, he did not see our daughter be born. A week ago, he informed me that he wants to divorce and start over on his dreams of having a family. He insists that he cannot bond with our daughter and says it's because he didn't see her being born. He said a lot about how it's always been a dream of his to have a small, close-knit family, and now he can't have that with me because of the C-section and his not being in the room. His dad suggested therapy, but my husband refused, saying he knew it wouldn't work. I've made sure he knows I'm open to the idea if he changes his mind, but he's been very insistent that he knows this can't be fixed. Part of me knows I'm basically asking for a magic spell here, but does anyone have any ideas how if this can be fixed? I'll try to answer any questions anyone may have. Now for the 2-week update. I wanted to update and thank everyone who sympathized with me and tried to help. There isn't much new, but some things have happened. Several people suggested asking him to come with me to a therapist so I can get help understanding why he's leaving. He agreed, and our appointment was yesterday. It didn't go badly, but it didn't go well either. He was very upfront with the therapist. He didn't try to mince words or refuse to answer questions. He told the man they got to bond the entire pregnancy. That baby is made of their body. I can't compare to that. My work started at birth, and I wasn't there, so I don't feel like I ever got hired, if that makes sense. Yeah, he compared it to not having an employment contract. I get the metaphor, I guess, but I'm not sure how it translates to him not being able to bond. Several people made trans-unfriendly comments, and several other people asked if maybe my lack of gender was an issue. I assumed no, because my husband had known that I'm non-binary since before we started dating, but I did bring it up while we were with the therapist. My husband insists that no, it has nothing to do with anything. He didn't care about what I am, but how I did. The therapist was very focused on trying to help me understand, and I appreciate that. No complaints with him. I'm still completely in the dark, though, and my husband has started talking about choosing a lawyer. He says he wants a clean break before our daughter gets too attached. Now for the 1-month update. This is probably going to be long, and it isn't a happy update. We have filed. I have taken my daughter and moved back in with my parents, who aren't very happy about the divorce, but are thrilled to have the chance to nanny my daughter. Their words, not mine. Life was in stasis for about a week after my last post until my father-in-law asked us to come over for dinner. He informed me that my husband had asked for his help paying for a lawyer. He had agreed with the requirement that we all sit down and have one last talk about the situation. He opened with saying that he thinks that getting this over with would be best for me and my daughter. My husband looked a little hurt at this, so he's willing to help, but he wanted to take one last shot at fixing it. The one last shot ended up being several hours of talking. My father-in-law bluntly demanded that my husband explain his reasoning. My husband repeated the can't bond thing, and my father-in-law asked why. The employment contract analogy was brought up again. After much back and forth, my father-in-law just said, "I'm not buying this. What's the real reason?" My husband insisted till the end that what he'd been saying all along was his reasoning. He did not see our daughter be born, so he can't bond. He tried. He insisted. The connection isn't there. He was supposed to connect when our daughter was born. There was supposed to be a spark of connection between them, but that spark can only happen right at birth, I guess. In his mind, he can't get it now. My father-in-law asked if my husband thought our daughter wasn't his. My husband insists he has no doubts he is our daughter's biological father. My father-in-law asked if my husband was seeing someone else. Was there a woman or another pregnancy somewhere? My husband did not react well to this. He threw his phone down on the table and said that we were free to search it. He's not a scumbag. After that, the conversation turned to post-divorce life. My husband offered up that he'd been running the numbers and would volunteer $50 per month alimony and $50 per month in child support. He doesn't have to do either, mind. because we're divorcing and he wants to cut all ties with the kid, but he wants to be fair. $50 in alimony? Whatever. I have a job and a roof over our heads. I don't need it. $50 in child support? That is a lot less, whatever. But I'm refusing to stress about it. The court will handle child support amounts. I'm making myself not be angry and let them deal with it. I admit I tuned out most of the rest of my father-in-law's attempt to talk sense into his son after that comment. I think that was when the coffin finally nailed itself shut. I started packing when we got home and went to my parents' house the next day. I'm no longer talking to my husband. His lawyer talks to mine. We haven't spoken in almost 3 weeks. I don't think I need to tell you that he hasn't shown any concern for our daughter. But here I am anyway. The day after I got there, my sister kidnapped me to her place. We got very drunk. My daughter was with my parents, not us, talked about everything, and I screamed a lot. I got most of it out of my system. After that, we had more drinks and watched terrible horror movies. I woke up the next day with the headache from hell, but otherwise feeling better than I had in a long time. My job can't transfer me, just my luck, but I've been promised a glowing reference, and I'm cashing out what little paid leave I have left to add to my savings. My father-in-law asked after the failed conversation if I would be cutting him off. I assured him that he might not see us as much because of how far away my parents live and not knowing where I'll end up. But he's not getting rid of me or my daughter that easily. He was very happy to hear that. So that's where I am. Papers have been filed. Daughter and I have moved out of the house. I'm doing my best to ignore STBX's existence. Thank you all again for listening to me cry and complain over the past couple months. Now for the update. I promised an update once things were over, and at this point, they're mostly over. So here I am. My story can be seen in my post history, but the short of it is that my ex-husband did not see my daughter's birth and decided that because he wasn't there, he couldn't bond. So he and I are divorcing, and he's going to start over. Daughter turned 1 this month. She landed on nod as her first word. I suspect this is because father-in-law brought home a foster-to-adopt dog a few months back whose previous owners called her Nod or Nodder. Daughter loves the heck out of this dog. Father-in-law sends me pictures of her every day to show to daughter. Ex-husband and I are just waiting on some final paperwork for the divorce to be complete. He has not contested anything. He did look the judge in the face and repeat the whole didn't see birth, can't bond thing. His lawyer did try and defend that claim. He presented studies that he claimed said things about damages to bonds when fathers weren't present and actively involved for everything. But ex-husband was? He was there and active and involved my entire pregnancy and was present for my entire labor until things went wrong. It wasn't a case of, ooh, hey, you knocked someone up 5 years ago, now bond with this kid. Daughter was definitely less than an hour old when he held her for the first time, probably less than half an hour. And I had proof for this claim too. Among other things, I had pictures of the two of us at multiple prenatal appointments. Father-in-law was also willing to file a statement talking about how ex and he were involved in my pregnancy. Needless to say, the judge was not impressed with my ex's lawyer's arguments. He tried to push my ex for therapy. Made comments about how ex would regret this later. Ex stood stubborn with his I need to start over line. He has visitation per the paperwork. Care to guess if he's used it? He does also have to pay child support. If you've read my post history, you might remember that he offered me a gigantic $50 a month. That's all he's been paying, despite the judge ordering a lot more. So that's a fight I'm going to have to steel myself for. I'm surprised he started scanting out before the divorce was even final. But he did tell me and father-in-law that he's not a scumbag, so in his mind, he's probably just keeping true to his word or something. He's shown no interest in daughter. No other children, pregnancies, or potential partners have popped up either. As best father-in-law can tell, ex is single and not showing any interest in dating yet. I don't know how I feel, really. It would make more sense if he was cheating. It would be easier to have something solid to point to, go fuck you into a tornado for making my life fall apart, and then try to move on. But all lived evidence points to him honestly thinking he has to do this. I'm in therapy. I've found a place about middle of my parents and father-in-law, and I'm still doing freelance work. I would rate myself okay. Daughter is happy, healthy, and kicking off. She will be fine. I plan to never speak to ex again once this paperwork is done. I just have to wait to be able to totally start over myself. Am I the idiot for questioning my husband's secretive behavior only to discover his heartfelt surprise? My husband traveled for work last week and was very cagey about some packages that may or may not arrive while he was gone. He went so far as to have my dad on standby to come pick it up off our doorstep before I would see it. He's been back home for 3 days and has given me strict instructions not to go into his office. I usually bring him breakfast in the morning, but I've been asked to leave it on the banister outside his door. He's also spent a good 10 hours locked up in there during his free time doing something. I can hear his tape measure wibble around and occasional bangs and furious typing. He always comes out smiling and refusing to talk about what he's doing, just that it's Christmas stuff, and I should mind my own business, lol. I'll admit, I did a great job with his birthday present a few months ago, but we've already decided that my big present this year is the puppy we've been planning for months, and I get to bring home soon. I have no idea what he's up to in there, but I know for a fact he's working very hard to make me happy, and I feel extremely loved. He doesn't know I'm about to knock it out of the park with my Christmas shopping this year. I can't wait to see who wins. Edit to add, this man was not a Christmas person when we met. But I adore Christmas, and over the years my enthusiasm has rubbed off on him. I still wouldn't say he loves Christmas, but he sure does love me and making me happy. I'm so lucky to have him in my life. Now for a few comments. One commenter said, "Sounds like he's accepted your challenge. I'm on the hunt for a really good deal on a new cell phone. Wife isn't too picky, but our phones are 4 years old, batteries are aging, and she wants one that takes good pictures." Then OP replied, "This is my favorite thing to get competitive with him on, mostly because I'm an excellent gift giver, so I usually win. Between whatever he's cooking up in there and the puppy, though, I don't know how I'm going to beat him this year." Another commenter shared, "I'm not a really good gift giver, but I gave my husband the perfect gift 2 years ago. He literally cried with happiness. I don't think I'll ever be able to equal that again. It was 30 uncleaned ancient Roman coins." OP responded, "This is my favorite feeling in the world. When we were very poor, I saved up for weeks to get him some wool socks to keep his feet warm, and he choked up about it. The socks are falling apart 10 years later, but he still loves them." Now for the 1-month update. I have terrible news. Today, for the first time in 13 years, I have lost Christmas. I am out of my league. My husband has surpassed my greatest expectations. It's over. We picked up our new puppy the week after Thanksgiving. The weekend before was a mad dash to get the house puppy-proofed and Christmas ready. In the middle of that, husband announced that this year we're getting an 8-foot tree. We had to have my dad meet us with his truck to get it home. It looks fantastic. Since then, I've had my hands more than full with my now 11-week-old puppy. She's in jerk, and I love her so much. But between the constant potty trips, forced naps, and feedings, presents kept showing up under the tree in the fancy wrapping paper, wrapped in hand-tied ribbons, fixed in place by an honest-to-God wax seal. Piles of them. I asked him if he was sleeping with his secretary. Nope. He just said, "I've had a hard year and I deserve a nice Christmas." I have had a hard year, through no fault of his. Just one of those things. I haven't complained, he just knew. Anyway, long story short, he got me a gaming PC. I game in bed due to some health issues that make sitting at a desk very painful. This is fine for laptop gaming, but you're somewhat limited with that medium for the newest and greatest tech. So he engineered a custom monitor stand that attaches to the wall out of the way, but can swing out on an arm right in front of me while I'm sitting in bed. He built the model in CAD, which he had to teach himself to use. He bought all the individual components for the custom mount, which he wrapped individually, as well as all the hardware for my PC. We're going to build and mount everything together this week. Apparently, he's been planning this for months and saving for it for even longer. He put so much time and thought into this, right down to the presentation Christmas morning. I had always written off getting a nice PC build because it's not practical to use in bed, but he wasn't satisfied with that for me. Now I have possibly the nicest gaming PC money can buy, and definitely the most thoughtful husband love can earn. I think he's more excited than I am. He loved the gifts I got for him, but we both know he won this year. He's gracious enough not to rub it in my face, possibly because he's too excited to tell me about how nice my new processor is. I don't know how either of us will top this next year, but I guess I'd better start scheming now. Am I the idiot for breaking up with my boyfriend after he prayed to Donald Trump in front of my family? This is the first time he's ever done this, so I don't get why it had to be in front of me or my family. We disagree on some things politically, but he never liked Trump either. Am I overreacting in our texts or reevaluating our relationship? Text exchange between OP and her boyfriend. Hey, are you home yet? Can we talk? What? I'm still kind of off-put by the prayer. Was that a joke? Deadass couldn't tell. What's funny about it? It was a prayer to Donald Trump. Like, why? What do you mean? My parents were confused as hell. Isn't that like false idol or blasphemous, if anything? If he's ordained by God himself, I don't see the issue. He literally saved him. But why are we doing this now? You brought this up. No, I mean, why did we start the prayer thing literally today? I didn't. I thought we talked about this. What? We haven't talked about this at all. You had to have known. I'd think it's weird. I said he was saved by God during the assassination, that it was proof. He was chosen, so I speak to him. I don't see what the issue with this is. You know, we disagree politically, so why would you pray to the man in front of my whole family and I? This just seems really out of character. Can I call you instead? Why are you making this a big deal? Everyone can be wrong on stuff. I don't judge you or your family. It's not about who's wrong or right. Praying to Trump is just straight up insane. You're being childish. Bro, straight up answer my call. How are you real? I'll call you after work. Now for a few important comments. Luid Bicycle 8750, female, said, what I just read was absolutely diabolical. What the hell does he mean? He was chosen, so I speak to him. Girl, you need to run because this is actually psychotic. Leave him. Tekken0C commented, this guy is an insult to psychotic people. Hot soup, cold soup added, at least the guy in the park screaming at pigeons has some standards, man. Simple Wanderings joked, I was almost hit by a car when running. God saved me. I must have been sent by God. I should run for president. Pierce the Streets Ahead asked, what's your name? I need to know who to properly pray to. Neely Silverleaf warned, if you stay with him, you're signing on for this. Reginald Dwight noted, your political views can be wrong, but I respect you, and your family anyway is absolutely insane. Chucky Joe stated, praying to Trump, not praying to God for Trump? Oh, I'd be out, that's a cult. CMAC32-6 urged, the intimacy literally cannot be so good that you would honestly put up with that. Not overreacting. Please, for the love of all things, react more. Fleeky Brow commented, this cannot be real. It has to be satire. Kidada shared, I wanted to believe it was years ago when my mother told me he was sent by God to save the United States. Turns out her Catholic priest distributed some literature regarding it. It has gotten worse over the years. She views him as infallible. It's unsettling to visit my small Midwestern hometown because the entire place feels like a cult. Small B Note recounted, after the 2016 election, I asked my grandmother why she voted for Trump, and she genuinely told me that God has sent Trump to protect our country from evil outside forces, and went on to list various other nations. When Biden was elected in 2020, she freaked out and told me that God wouldn't have let Biden win unless the end times really were nigh. She told me I wasn't going to live to make it to 30 because the world would literally end before then. Now that Trump is due to be back in office, she's extended our end times deadline for another 20 years. The Mr. EM4N advised, the best time to break up is today. The second best time is tomorrow. Then OP responded to a question about what he prayed, along the lines of protect America's freedom, shield the children, purify the government, boost our economy. Corny as hell. Now for the update the next day. The relationship is over. I'm embarrassed from this ordeal, so I just spontaneously did it. It was less than a year, so I'll get over it. But damn. Thanks for the chill and nice comments providing support even though I can't read most comments. Lessons have been learned.